Hi guys, how are you doing? I am Anurag Sharma and I extend my humble namaskar to all of you. Guys, in this lesson, I'll be discussing with you the various causes, effects and remedies of inflation. Viewers who are watching this lesson for the first time, I request to go through the previous lesson of introduction of inflation, in which I have discussed with you the meaning and various types of inflation. So let's begin with the various causes of inflation. First, the increase in money supply. Guys, we know that whenever there is increase in money supply, there is more supply of money, but correspondingly there is no increase in the GDP. That situation will give rise to the inflation. In India, the supply of money has been increased as comparison to the GDP. That situation gives rise to the inflation. The second reason is deficit financing. Deficit financing is a resort taken by government, in which government bridges the gap of expenditure and income by printing excess currency notes. So I believe you have heard that Hindi proverb and the title of a Hindi movie that goes like this: Amdani Athani and Kharcha Rupeya, which means that we are earning less but we are spending more. So to bridge that gap of earning and expenditure, we need to go to deficit financing. But due to that deficit financing, supply of money increases and that leads to inflation. Increase in population. Due to heavy increase in population, you know that India is the second largest populous country in the world, and soon we are going to overtake China as well. So due to due to increase in population, the domestic demand of goods and services increases. So, but as comparison to demand, the supply is not increasing. So there is a gap of demand, high demand and supply. So economics 101, whenever there is a gap of demand and supply, and where there is less supply and more demand, inflation will exist. Then setback to production. We are a agriculture economy. Our economy is known as agronomy economy, and in this type of economy, even today we are still dependent upon the natural reason, natural climate for the better production. So sometimes due to natural calamities, we have faced certain setbacks in the production. So those setback to production also give rise to the less supply and more demand. Again, the situation of inflation. And due to the less production of primary goods, industrial production also affects. Then comes increase in MSP of food grains. MSP means minimum support price. That minimum support price is given by the government to farmers, and this MSP is increasing. It is increasing as compared to 1951 to 2017. That MSP has increased many fold, and due to this increase in MSP, the prices of primary products are also increasing. So again, a situation of inflation. Then comes hike in oil prices and global inflation. I believe all of you know that 90% of our oil needs are import. We are dependent on imports, and whenever there is increase, whenever there is hike in oil prices, we suffer because transportation expenditure gets more, and total cost also gets increased. So that is why the inflation comes. Then comes global inflation. Today's economy is global economy. We all are interconnected with each other due to globalization, and whenever there is global inflation, definitely there will be certain effects in the domestic country as well. Then comes brand-led inflation. There are certain brands which charge high amount of money for their products, and because they are spending more on promotional expenditure, they are spending more on their advertisement. So that so overall that increase their cost, and and they have that brand equity, so that's why they charge more money, and that is also one of the reason of inflation. Then comes credit expansion, easy availability of loan. The major expansion of credit, that reason is also responsible for the inflation, because the easy availability of loan give rise to two factors. One factor is increased supply of money that I explained you earlier, and the second is increase in NPA, that is non-performing asset. Both of these situations give rise to inflation. Then comes black money. Unaccounted money means black money. That money which is where there is no payment of taxes and which are not accounted for, that economy is known as black economy or also parallel economy. So parallel economy has gone up to the, it has gone up to the extent of, billions of rupees. So that black money and that parallel economy is also one of the major reason of high inflation. Then urbanization. The lifestyle of rural population and urban population is different. So and urbanization is a phenomenon. Every rural area is, they are shifting towards the urbanization. But due to urbanization, lifestyle also changes, and when lifestyle changes, so demand of goods and products also increases, and again the situation leads to inflation. Then rising income and growth of middle class. There is no doubt about it that the India's middle income group is very, very powerful, extremely powerful. It is very influential, and it has been risen exponentially. No doubt about it. And this middle class group is the highest spender as well. They are in the hierarchy of income group. Middle income group people spends the most, and the, again, the strata of middle income group is very, very high. So that is why that also leads to the high demand of goods and services, and again the high demand and less supply situation of inflation. Now let's discuss what are the various trends in inflation during 12th five-year plan. The 12th five-year plan, the period of 12th five-year plan is 2012 to 2017. So let's discuss what is the trend of inflation. In year 2012 and 13, the overall inflation was 9.90, and in August 2016, the overall inflation is 5.05%. And the source of this data is India 2017, a book published by Publication Division, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Government of India. This overall inflation is the, it is the consolidation of these two, these two inflation. One is food inflation, that is known as CFPI, that is Consumer Food Price Index, and non-food price index. So it is the overall inflation is, we are more concerned about this column. So because we are not only spending on food, we are also spending on non-food items. For example, our telephone charges, our internet expenditure, though somehow they also affects the inflation rate as well. So seeing into this table, we can see that there is a decreasing trend of inflation. The inflation is falling. That is a positive picture. And I explained it in my previous lesson that the crawling inflation and walking inflation is somehow acceptable in our economy, country like us, because we are developing economy. We need to spend more on our infrastructural needs. We need to spend on our developmental projects, so that we can attract more projects, and so that will lead to the increase in income. So a positive picture. With that positive note, let's discuss what are the various negative effects of inflation. The first effect of inflation on economic development. Simple, again, economics 101. Whenever there is more expenditure, savings will be less. When savings will be less, investments will be less. As simple as that. So high inflation puts an adverse effect on economic development, because due to high inflation, people cannot save that much. And if they cannot save that much, they cannot invest that much. So less saving, due to high inflation there will be less saving. Less saving will give rise to the less investment, and that is a negative effect on economic development. Then comes wage spiral. See, due to the increase in wage, price increases. Due to increase in price, again wage increases. So a spiral of wage and price comes into existence, and it increases. It increases. With every increase in wage, there will be increase in price. With every increase in price, there will increase in wage. So that creates a spiral, that wage spiral, wage and price spiral, and that exerts a very negative effect on our economy. So again, wage spiral is the negative effect of inflation. Then comes excuse me. Then comes the adverse effect on the people with fixed income. No need to explain this point, guys. It is very simple. Income is fixed, but inflation is increasing. Income is fixed, inflation is increasing. So people who are getting fixed income, like pensioners or like any other strata of our population, so that will definitely hamper their interest, and that will definitely affect their their lifestyle as well. Then unequal distribution of wealth. mostly traders and producers are the gainer in situation of inflation. So rich becomes more rich and poor becomes more poorer. So what worse can it, a negative effect it can put, that rich are becoming richer and poor are becoming poorer. So that is one of the major, disadvantage of inflation. Then adverse balance of payment. Due to high demand, of course, we cannot export that much. Balance of payment, the balance between export and import, and favorable balance of payment is that scenario for a layman, that whenever there are more export and less import, but due to inflation, we cannot export that much out of the country, and that again, unfavorable export will give rise to the unfavorable balance of payment. Then speculation and hoarding. Due to high inflation, traders tends to these practices of speculation, where they speculate high prices or very less prices of goods and services, and they also tend to the practice of hoarding. So these are negative evils of inflation. So what are the government measures to control inflation? First of all, monetary measures. Monetary measures are taken by Reserve Bank of India. Reserve Bank of India, by setting various rates like repo rate, reverse repo rate, bank rate, CRR, SLR, statutory liquidity ratio, and there are so many rates which Reserve Bank of India sets to again the contract the supply of money, or to increase the supply of money as the situation demands. So first measure by the Reserve Bank of India. Then comes fiscal measure. Monetary measure and fiscal measures, they are the sister policies. Monetary measures are taken by the Reserve Bank of India, and fiscal measures are taken by the Government of India. So in fiscal measure, there we try to maintain a balance between government's expenditure and government's income. Government tries to reduce its expenditure and government tries to increase its income, so that again a favorable situation comes. Then increase in agriculture and industrial production. We need to move to those agriculture technique where there is less dependence on monsoon, and we need to increase the agriculture and industrial production so that we can bridge that gap of demand and supply, because whenever there will be higher supply and less supply, prices will increase, but when there will be balance, prices automatically will be balanced out. Restriction on export of essential goods can also help in tackle the problem of inflation. And on the other hand, import of essential goods, for example pulses, we are a major importer of pulses, so we import pulses so that the overall prices of pulses remains balanced. Then PDS, public distribution system, rationing for a layman. In rationing or PDS, what we do, government provides certain essential goods and services like rice, wheat, salt, mustard oil, and goods like that, so that at subsidized rate, at less rate, so that everyone can consume that. Check on hoardings. We need to curb this maniac also, hoardings. Then there are certain institutions, like for food items there is Food Corporation of India, for cotton there is Cotton Corporation of India. These are those institutions which are taking care of demand and supply side of those particular goods. So institutions are also playing very important role to balance out the demand and supply side of the goods and services. Then we desperately need a strict population policy, so that we can control our population, and so that there can be a balance between demand and supply, or we can tackle the maniac of inflation. And control the strikes and lockouts. These are negative activities, and if we will control them, definitely it will also reduce certain expenses of the production. And these are the various government measures which can be taken by the government to reduce the inflation rate. Again, I will say that for a developing economy like us, we need a certain level of inflation, but hyperinflation is not at all good for any kind of economy, be it a developing economy or a developed economy. So we need to control the inflation in certain way, in such a way that there should be a proper growth, and there should be again the social welfare as well. So that's all from my side. I'll be waiting for your valuable feedback. Thank you so much, and have a great day ahead.